Hello friends, and welcome back to a brand new landscape photography adventure. This time we're exploring the gorgeous Italian Dolomites, POV style. In this video I share various tips and techniques, and some pretty spectacular moments in the mountains. I really hope you enjoy watching. Alright. Hello everyone. From the Italian Dolomites. I'm leading a workshop here with Marco Grazzi. And we got Vince. What's up? And we got Will up there. And we're just on an absolutely incredible hike to one of the most spectacular views. And look at the weather we're getting. Beautiful clouds all around, nice shapes, nice textures. Still got the sun coming out. Got the sun hitting Tre Cime right there. We're really hoping for a beautiful sunset, maybe even a little bit of Milky Way photography. So yeah, let's see how it goes. So we got Vince and Jordan, and they got their telephoto lenses looking out at this incredible mountain range. And there's some beautiful light out there in the distance. What I like about this is you get the jaggedy teeth of the front range. And then if I zoom in here, you can see that mountain in the background. Really nice. I tried a composition of this and then a few wider ones that include some of these beautiful clouds. But what really caught my eye and what we're photographing right now is, check this out. The dappled light right here is amazing. And we can even zoom in further to about 400 millimeters. Look at how symmetrical. It looks pretty symmetrical with the way the light is hitting the peak. And everything else is in a nice bit of shadow. So I think maybe a tight shot here, maybe even a pulled out shot right there could look really nice with some of the clouds in the background, but there's really endless opportunities here. So as far as my settings go, I'm just gonna do ISO 100. Let's go ahead and do f8. And then that puts me at about 1/100th of a second here. That should be really nice. I really enjoyed taking these close-up mountain shots with my 100 to 400 lens. And even though I've visited this area countless times over the years, I feel like when I can zoom in and pick out those telephoto perspectives, I always find something unique that I hadn't seen before. Tre Cime starting to take its iconic shape. Really a beautiful mountain. It's just so massive. After this, we hiked down to a different area and witnessed a really special moment. My friend Vince proposed to his girlfriend right in front of the mountain peaks, and it was honestly such a cool moment to witness in person. So a huge congrats to you both, and I look forward to more adventures in the future. So after this, the sunset light was pretty flat around us, which didn't really open up the opportunity to shoot with the wide-angle lens. However, we did see some beautiful glow in the distance. So this is another telephoto perspective that I've never tried to shoot before, and I really loved the dappled sunset glow here that helped to create more shape and dimension to the scene. I also really enjoyed the deep color contrast between the warm highlights and those blue shadows. The next morning was predicted for a bit of fog, so we woke up early for a dark hike up to the mountain ridge. Little did I know this would end up being one of the most unbelievable mornings that I've ever had up in the Dolomites. Hello, Marco.
Hello, Michael.
It's a terrible morning.
It's a terrible morning.
Terrible.
Good light, fog, clouds.
Can't believe this.
Terrible.
So right now it's sunrise, and we're at Tre Cime. You can see it right there. But we're facing away at a different mountain peak, and the fog has been covering the peaks for a while, but as you can see, it's lifting right out there in the distance. So everyone's set up to get a really cool image when it comes out. I also have a little time lapse running right now. And I'm just doing 1-second intervals because the fog is moving very fast, but with the light right now, I think it's going to be really, really pretty.
These images above the fog were mesmerizing to witness and beautiful to capture. The fog would swirl around every few seconds, opening up new compositions and giving us a lot of different opportunities here. I ended up going with a short shutter speed here to show all of the texture in the fog, and as usual, these were all shot on my 100-400 telephoto lens.
You can see some people up there on the cliff enjoying the sunrise.
Shortly after, as the fog got lower, we decided to walk down the ridge a bit to get some wide-angle perspectives. We also noticed people walking out to this little hill in the distance, which provided a really nice sense of scale to the scene.
All right, so it's right after sunrise, and I've got out the 16-35 lens so I can get a wide perspective of the beautiful mountain range in the distance and the nice jagged foreground here. There's a lot of different foreground elements to play with, so I'm just moving along the trail here. And let me show you what this looks like through the live view screen. So this is at about 16 millimeters. You can see the fog is blocking some of the peaks right now, but if I zoom in here, look at that. Check out these jagged rocks down there. So we're just waiting for the fog to lift here. You can see it's moving this way, and we should get a clearing here very shortly. Yeah, in terms of settings, I'm mostly doing f8, ISO 100 and 200 now that it's getting a bit brighter, and then having the shutter speed be high enough to where I can handhold. But with the wide-angle lens, I really only need 1/60th of a second to get a nice clean shot here.
I really enjoyed the way this image turned out for all of the symmetry that was created here. The V-shape in the rocks, and almost a V-shape created in the clouds that frame the mountain, and then even the high clouds up top were kind of diagonally pointing towards the mountain peaks. So everything really just came together for this shot, and luckily I was also able to do a clean single exposure for this one.
That is so amazing. Oh my gosh. Look at this.
After an incredible morning shoot, we hiked down the ridge to get some breakfast, but funny enough, I caught a few frames on the way back that ended up being my favorite from the entire shoot. So once again, these photos were taken with my telephoto lens, and I absolutely loved the little hikers in here for scale. They really added a lot of power to the scene, and the atmosphere of fog swirling around the peaks just made it feel like these were straight out of a fairy tale. It's funny how sometimes the moment we least expect can give us some of our best work. Later that evening, we visited the iconic Cinque Torre, and even though the mountain was beautiful, as usual, I found another telephoto perspective to focus on, and here's what I shot. So this was just a very simple single exposure, and I threw on a polarizer to increase the contrast and the light a bit. I really loved those deep warm tones across the mountain ridge, complemented by the cool shadows and cooler sky behind. Now this wasn't the first time our group visited the 5 peaks. We actually visited here a couple days prior, but the area was completely shrouded in fog. We barely got a glimpse of the mountain at all. But what was cool about this is it offered a completely different perspective. So rather than capture the giant mountain peaks, we focused on these really cool rocks with these singular trees growing out of them. And I think the fog here added a lot of depth and mystery to the scene. And this again is something I would have never thought about capturing if the mountain peaks were visible. And it's a really good reminder to not only go to locations multiple times to see it under different light, but also regardless of what the conditions give you, if you're willing to think outside the box, there's always something to photograph. So what you just saw was a tiny portion of what we shot on this trip. So I thought it would be fun to share an image collection from this trip and from my trip in 2022, along with some of my favorite aerial clips. I really hope you enjoy them. This was one of my absolute favorite images from the trip, and this one, again, is a telephoto perspective of this lone tree down on the hillside. And when we were here at sunrise, I noticed this area was in shadow, but judging by the light position on the right side, I knew that eventually the light would start piercing this area. And sure enough, after a few minutes, the lighting became perfect to shoot this scene. So here's a wide-angle perspective taken above this beautiful lake in the morning. For the shot, I wanted to try and frame that lake between these 2 trees, and then put that little island kind of right in the middle, which helped to balance out the shot and give it a bit of symmetry. Luckily for this image, I was able to get the whole thing with one exposure by underexposing the scene and making sure to prioritize my highlights. With that, I really hope you enjoyed this adventure. If you'd like to learn more from me, you can check out my workshops over on my website. If you did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more. Thanks again, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.